Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Logan's Voice. My name is Doug Ballinger, and I'm Logan's dad. If you've been with me for a while, you know why I do this. And if you're new here, I just want to say I'm glad you're here. Because this podcast isn't just a show, it's my mission. It's a voice for the voiceless, a space for truth, for grief, for connection, and for change. Today's episode is personal. Today's episode is for the fathers. For the men who are grieving out loud or silently, for the ones who show up strong even when they're shattered on the inside. We're talking about something I've been carrying in my heart for a while now. The desire to start a movement I've called DADS, D-A-D-D-S, Dads Against Deadly Drug Supply. Because here's the truth. This crisis, this deadly poison drug supply that's stealing our kids, doesn't just devastate mothers, it devastates us fathers too. But we don't talk about that enough. We're often left out of the narrative. People ask how the mom is doing. They don't always ask about the dad. They assume we're okay, or maybe that we've moved on, but the truth is most of us are just trying to survive. We don't always show our pain, we don't always speak it, and honestly, some of us don't know how. But grief has no gender. And love, the kind of love that keeps showing up after death, the kind that fights back against silence and stigma, that deserves a voice. So this episode is for every dad who has buried a child, every dad who wakes up wondering if today will be the day that phone rings, every dad who feels alone in this fight. You're not invisible, you're not weak, and you're not alone. Let's talk about dads. Let's talk about what happens when fathers stand together. When my son Logan died from fentanyl poisoning in 2020, it shattered everything I thought I knew about grief and fatherhood and life in general. His mom, Gina, had passed away just months before, so when Logan died, I didn't just lose my son, I lost my whole parenting identity. Even though we were divorced, we remained great friends and were united on the fight against substance use disorder. The rhythm we had, the shared love we had for him, it was all gone in a flash. And when I was left standing in the silence, not many people knew what to say. Some offered kind words, others disappeared. And when I did hear from people, the focus was almost always on logistics. Funeral planning, what to do with things, and not the heartache I was carrying every single moment. No one really asked, "How are you doing, Dad?" And that's something I've learned is far too common. In our culture, dads are expected to handle things, to hold it together, to carry the load without cracking. But grief doesn't work that way. Not when it's your child. Not when it's your flesh and blood, and not when you know they didn't have to die. I'll be honest, there were days I didn't know how to go on. I didn't know how to get out of bed, much less how to keep fighting. I felt invisible, forgotten, like the world just moved on without acknowledging what I had lost. And I know I'm not alone. There are countless fathers walking around with broken hearts and nowhere to put that pain. Fathers who have lost children, fathers who are watching their kids battle addiction, fathers who are scared every time the phone rings. But we don't talk about it, and the world doesn't ask. So we isolate, we shut down, and we suffer in silence. And that silence is deadly. It cuts us off from the very thing we need the most, connection. That's why I created a private Facebook group called DADS, D-A-D-D-S. Not just as a support group, but as a call to break the silence. To say to other men, you matter too, your grief matters, and your story matters. You're not weak for feeling this pain. You're not alone in this fight, and you don't have to carry it by yourself. We're here, we're growing, and we're rising together. So let's talk about something we don't talk about nearly enough, especially as men. grief and masculinity. From the time we're little boys, most of us are taught, whether directly or through example, that we need to be strong, silent, and stoic. Man up, don't cry, be the rock. We're taught that emotions make us weak, that expressing pain is something we need to hide, that if we break down, we're failing as men, or worse, failing as fathers. But here's what I've learned since losing Logan. Grief doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care how tough you are. It doesn't care how many people rely on you or how much you try to hold it together. Grief will flatten you. It will knock the wind out of you at the grocery store. It will hit you in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of a memory, in the middle of pretending to be okay. And if you don't have a place to put it, it will sit in your chest and harden into shame, isolation, and rage. For a long time, I thought I had to carry my grief quietly. I thought being strong meant not showing how deeply broken I was. But I've come to believe something very different. Real strength is being honest about the pain. Real masculinity is showing up even when you feel destroyed. Real fatherhood is loving your child so fiercely that even after death you keep their voice alive. And that love, it deserves space. It deserves community, and it deserves to be seen and heard and honored. We don't talk enough about father-shaped grief, the kind that aches in silence, the kind that punches a hole through your identity, the kind that leaves you feeling like you're supposed to fix what can't be fixed. But what if we gave ourselves permission to not fix it? What if we gave ourselves permission to cry, to fall apart, to not know what to do? And what if, instead of doing it alone, we started showing up for each other? That's what Dads is about. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers. It's about finally having a space where we can be fully human in our grief and fully seen as fathers. This isn't weakness. This is love that refused to die when our children did. This is what it means to carry them forward. This next part, this is the why behind today's episode. It's not just about sharing grief. It's not about naming the silence. It's about starting something that can shift the landscape, not just for us, but for every father who's hurting and doesn't know where to turn. That something is called Dads. Dads Against Deadly Drug Supply. And let me tell you how it started. It came from a quiet moment, a night where the grief hit hard and the silence felt louder than ever, a night where I looked around at support groups, awareness campaigns, community gatherings, and saw mostly moms, brave, strong, passionate moms, holding signs, telling stories, fighting back. And I asked myself, where are the dads? Where are the men who are grieving just as deeply but quietly? Where are the fathers who have something to say but no place to say it? I realized that if I could find that space, I needed to build it. Because this fight, it's not just a mother's fight. This pain, it doesn't skip over fathers. And this epidemic, it's destroying sons and daughters and leaving too many of us alone in its wake. Dads is a response to that loneliness. It's a private group, yes, but it's more than that. It's the start of a movement where fathers who have lost a child can speak their truth without shame. Fathers loving someone in active addiction can find support without judgment. Men can come together not just to grieve, but to rise in memory, to rise in purpose, and to rise in brotherhood. Because I believe something deeply. When fathers find their voice, we change the conversation. We break the narrative that says we should be silent. We model our sons that real strength includes vulnerability. And we show the world that our children mattered and still matter. Dads isn't just about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about standing together. It's about using our collective pain to push back against the poison drug supply that's taken far too many lives and left far too many families shattered. If you're listening right now and you're a dad, this space is for you. If you've buried a child and didn't know where to turn, this space is for you. If you wake up every day loving a son or daughter still fighting addiction, this space is for you too. You're not alone, and you don't have to carry this alone. Before I wrap up today, I want to speak directly to the fathers out there. Whether you're listening in the quiet of your car, on a walk, or sitting alone in your living room holding a picture of your child, I want you to hear this. You are not alone. You're not the only dad who's cried behind closed doors. You're not the only one who didn't know how to ask for help. And you are certainly not the only father grieving a loss that most people can't begin to understand. This world tells us to stay quiet, to be strong, to keep moving. But silence doesn't heal grief. And isolation won't bring us peace. Connection will. Community will. Voice will. That's what Dads is all about. It's not just a Facebook group. It's not just a hashtag. It's a movement and a lifeline. If you're grieving, we welcome you. If you're still in the fight, we're standing with you. If you feel lost, we will sit with you until you find your way again. We rise together, not because it's easy, but because our kids are worth it. Because their stories didn't end with their last breath. Because their memory deserves more than silence. So join us. Search for DADS, DADDS, Dads Against Deadly Drug Supply on Facebook. Reach out, speak up, show up. And remember, your pain doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And your love, even now, is your strength. You've been listening to Logan's Voice. I'll see you next time. Until then, be kind to yourself. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad. And I will not be silent.